Hey there, YouTube. Okay, in the ongoing journey through my grandfather's pocket knives, today we arrive at Queen Cutlery. These knives kind of fooled me. I've been going about these. I've sorted them out by manufacturer as I've sorted out these jumble of knives, and a lot of the knives videos that I'm doing only have one pocket knife in them because my grandfather did not have a specialty for one particular company. He just bought whatever he wanted, and it just worked out that the manufacturers, he just had one knife from the manufacturer, and that was it. But as I've gone on here, I found Queen, and I have 3 of them so far. The reason this fooled me is because the tank stamps were a little bit all over the place. And it turns out these just have been for different time periods in the Queen Cutlery history. So these are sorted by oldest to newest, and I'll just start from the top here. My research on these guys, I found out that so these Queen pocket knives are still in production today, although the Queen Cutlery company itself actually went out of business in 2018. So my grandfather thought when he was trying to sell this that it was worth $2. I think it's worth more nowadays, but all these labels, my grandfather passed away in 1996. So when these labels were put on here, I'm sure they were in the 70s or 80s, because I know he tried to have garage sales when he was in his 70s to try to cut down on the knives he had. So these are old prices. So I've been just kind of cleaning them up. This one got stuck on there, but cleaning these up, not doing any restoration to them other than getting this glue off here for the pocket knives, and just putting some, putting some mineral oil on these to protect them and maybe clean up some of the glue. And that's about it. I have my notes here. So yeah, these this particular one, since they were still kind of around, it was kind of interesting. They had a nice downloadable guide to the tang stamps, and so I was able to look up exactly what this tang stamp means. And what this means is this type of knife with this tang stamp was produced between 1937 and 1945. So that's fun to know about them. This kind of a jackknife type thing, 2 bolsters. It's got a clip point blade here. It's real solid. Got the half stops. I believe this is carbon steel. This Queen, it was known as Queen City Cutlery when it was founded, and then later became Queen Cutlery. 1946 became Queen Cutlery, shortened it up. But yeah, real nice half stop, nice snap there. Pretty cool. And then of course it has the pin blade here. Yeah, so in reading the history of the company, it was started in 1922, and they're made in Titusville, Pennsylvania. And they were started by employees of what? From the Shat and Morgan Cutlery Company. So they were originally part of that, and I guess they got caught making pocket knives on the side and promptly fired. So when they got fired, they started their own cutlery company across the street or down the street or something in Pennsylvania and called it City Cutlery Company. Apparently later, the original company went out of business and Queen was able to buy them, which is fun for them at the time, I'm sure. Let's see. That's about all I know about the City Cutlery Company. I don't know why they went out of business in 2018, but I think their trademarks were picked up by, I believe, the Smoky Mountain Knife Company. So they're being made by them. Queen City was always made in USA, I guess Titusville, and the Smoky Mountain they made their knives different places, not necessarily in the USA. So I don't know. I don't know if the current Queen City pocket knives are considered good or not, but they're not all made in USA, you know that. So this one's got brass liners, 2 springs, I'm assuming bone handles. Yeah, not the oldest knife in the collection, but still pretty old. Let's see, 1945. Is that 55 plus 24? 79 years old, at least. Does have a little bit of rust there. Not horrible. As I do these, guys, I get a little bit more time on these ones just because the amount of knives. My grandfather, you know, it can be real easy to, get nostalgic about grandfather and thinking how nice these were. And then he passed them down to me. It's sort of a nice romantic notion, but my grandfather was a real difficult guy. He was real hard to know, real hard to be around, mostly because he didn't have a lot of emotion. He was just he didn't talk much. And so, it's just got really hard. Whenever I would go to visit him, we didn't sit down. He didn't talk about his life. He didn't talk about anything. He just read his books, laid down on the couch, and he was like that with everyone. So I sort of, as I get more people watching and listening to these, I didn't want to get the wrong impression. I certainly liked my grandfather. I respected him. But I think the total amount of time I spent with him in my entire life was maybe 6 months. Because he lived in Northern California, and I would go up and visit maybe for, I think the longest I ever visited was like a week or something like that. And while I was there, boy, he just did his thing, didn't talk to anybody. Anytime he showed me the pocket knives, it was because my grandmother kind of yelled at him to do something with me. It's kind of funny. My father did not get along with them. They had a lot of issues. So, but my father would get a little bit jealous of me because it was kind of funny. He would talk about how much my grandfather loved me, which was always kind of funny because, he didn't express it or anything. And he just did his thing. But I think part of the reason he felt that way is because I left him alone. I was always just kind of All right, Grandpa's Grandpa, I don't care. Anyways, back to the knife for a minute. Pretty, it's a real solid knife. Pretty cool. Just a little bit of rust there and that come out. Give you the full view here. It does kind of have something happen here. I don't know if that's in manufacturing or something. Kind of seems like it. So that's the first one. Okay, the next one is the Big Chief. And so this was made by Queen again. This one is, it has this patent on there, but it's identified by, you can see the etching. It says Queen Steel number 45. So it was etched as this. This one's pretty neat because it represents an innovation in pocket knives. I guess Queen was one of the first people to start using stainless steel in their blades and their knives. And the next thing about that is that these handles are aluminum, and I guess they're all integrated into one piece. So that was another innovation, and they named it the Big Chief line. So just single blade, big knife, clip point. You know, the etching isn't real clear, so it looks like it has been used at least a little bit. But other than that, boy, a real solid knife. You know, nothing wrong with it. Half stops, real good snap. From what I understand, these guys were kind of advertised as good for doing stuff in the water, so good for divers and, you know, if you're fishing and stuff like that, it would stand up to that kind of stuff. Of course, stainless steel would. The sticker on here, it was $3 because this part fell off, but that was what Grandpa was trying to sell it for. Yeah, just throwing the old oil on here. I like this knife. This is solid knife. You know, you want to use a knife. This is it. Yeah, I forgot what I was talking about. My grandfather. Oh yeah, my father always felt like he really loved me, and because my grandfather would give me a hug whenever I saw him, and that was like, he didn't do that for anybody, including his son, my father. So, you know, that was the extent of his showing emotion at all. And like I said, I didn't have to grow up with him. So whenever I visited him, I was just like, all right, he is what he is. And I didn't give him a whole lot of grief. I was just like, hey, Grandpa, and that would be it. But yeah, he wasn't, and he was real grumpy a lot of the time, so he wasn't a particularly pleasant guy to spend time with. But I always felt like if you knew that going in, he wasn't too bad. You know, he didn't really talk to you, didn't talk to him. It's fine. So when I do these pocket knives, and I remember my grandfather, there's not a ton to remember. You know, I don't want to repeat myself here, but you know, I respected the guy. You know, that generation, they were real sort of, you know, that whole generation didn't show their emotions very much, of course. But from what I understand, even for that generation not showing your emotion, he was really good at it. He, the only son of his family, and had 4 sisters, and later in life, they didn't really, I mean, they got along fine, but from what I understand, they didn't talk a lot and visit a lot with each other. He just was very kind of sort of an outcast. And from what I understand, his father didn't, it was old school. His father didn't particularly raise him with a lot of love and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how much of that is just, that is how people were raised. My guess is that he didn't get raised any worse off than anybody else of those generations. Yeah. But I didn't have to deal with that because I was not a part of it. So there's your big chief. I don't know what this is. Seems like something, but it doesn't come out or anything. Kind of seems like maybe there's just a clip to your belt or something. But, yeah. Okay. And then now we have the last one. This one has the stamp of Q76, which I found out means it was made in 1976. And that was the only year it was made. So pretty, relatively speaking, pretty recent knife. But boy, it's in good shape and it's real pretty. These mother of pearl knives are always they're always real nice and pretty. So not a huge backstory on this guy. But real nice, real clean, no rust on anywhere on here. Things sort of look like they're separating a little there, the liners. But not too bad. Brass liners. Stainless, looks like stainless steel blades. Pretty cool little knife, real pretty. Yeah, my grandfather. Probably don't have to throw too much oil on stainless steel blades. Good snap. Half stops. Is that one? Kind of half stop. That one doesn't feel like it has a half stop on it. Guess I could tell a nice story about my grandfather. By the time I became sort of aware of my grandfather, he was been around. He was around when I was a baby and stuff like that. But by the time I formed actual memories of him, one of my earliest memories is he used to work out, so to speak, around the house. He would jog, but he would jog inside the house. It was, it was very funny to me. So that's gotta have some. He would jog, but not really. I don't know how to describe it. He would just kind of make the motions of jogging, but it was essentially walking. And he would walk in the mornings from the bedroom into the living room and back and forth. He would do that at his morning workout, and that would be it. And that was his exercise for the day. And he would do that for, I want to say, like 15 minutes or something like that. And one time I joined him, I would sort of do the same motion that he was doing. He didn't say anything, just was following him along, and then he stopped, and I was like, okay, that was it. So, and that's a jogging indoors with my grandfather. So that's a grandfather story for you. Queen Cutlery. Feel like Queen Cutlery made some pretty solid knives. First stainless steel in the US. I know in Europe and England they were making stainless steel knives for a while, but in the US I guess they were the first ones, or at least some of the first ones, to make stainless steel knives. Okay. Yeah, this one's a real neat one. Just from, usually the pearl handle ones I've seen so far have been real tiny. This one, you know, it's not real big, but it's getting full size. Pretty nice. Okay. Well, there you go. Queen Cutlery. Big Chief. I like the name. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Till next time.